In all my time spent playing video games over the last 20 years of my life, there are few companies that stick out in my mind as strongly as Blizzard does. I mean, they're such an influential developer in the game industry. Everyone's heard of them. They even have their own freaking convention, and it's huge. But despite the number of games I've bought, collected, and played over the years, something about Blizzard and the way they make their games has always stuck out to me and elevated themselves above the competition. And not too long ago it occurred to me, why does Blizzard make the best video games?
For the reign of chaos has come at last.
Now, I'm by no means saying Blizzard is a perfect game developer. Nobody is. And I'm not saying they make the best games ever of all time until the end of time. However, as far as consistency and quality, Blizzard has gotta be at the top. One thing that is so memorable about their games is the style. Just by looking at the cases, you can see a really distinct style between them all. Blizzard games are just good to look at too. They always got great graphics. You got the Warcraft games, which have a heavy emphasis on war, battles, strategies, unique factions with different strengths and looks. The music always lends itself to the tone of whatever faction you're playing as. And of course, they got great fucking voice acting.
Frostmourne hungers.
StarCraft is pretty much the same, though it's basically just like spacecraft or something.
This is not Warcraft in space!
And Diablo has a much darker feeling with religious undertones and graphics and sounds to represent that. A recurring theme in Blizzard's strategy games is the old click on units till they say funny shit. And man, is that always entertaining.
Fear my moo of fury!
But Blizzard doesn't just create games, they create worlds. Think about Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, and Overwatch. Each of them have a lot of fine details and lore behind the games. The Overwatch's base game left a lot to be desired. It also had a lot to expand on, and the general premise is very interesting. They add more depth to Overwatch through trailers, comics, and all sorts of side stories. But take World of Warcraft, one of the most popular and well-known games on the planet. What made WoW so awesome was just how expansive it was. There was so much to do, so many places to explore, different ways to play. And you could spend a lot of time grinding your character, getting levels, new equipment, and that was always really satisfying. Blizzard took the Warcraft universe and formula and applied it to an MMORPG format. And that's really the essence of Blizzard's style, is creating games that have endless content. Whether you really like the base game and enjoy playing competitive multiplayer, or you're like me and you can play custom games till your eyes bleed. There's enough content in their games to hold you over for a long time. And how could anyone forget the cutscenes? Ever since StarCraft, they basically set a new standard for cinematics in video games. It's part of Blizzard's identity to blow your balls off with the most epic cutscenes imaginable.
Considered platform verified and locked. This one's all yours, Hardy.
They succeed no matter what they're trying to go for. All-out war, apocalyptic, foreboding, scary, funny.
Looks like you mashed some poor fella's dog, Sarge.
So rest assured, any Blizzard game you've played is going to have the best when it comes to cinematics and style. Blizzard is a company that exemplifies quality over quantity. They really don't make too many games if you haven't noticed, and sometimes it takes them a while to get a sequel out, but hey. And while part of that is the incredible success and revenue made by World of Warcraft, and how well that has been sustained over the years, but in my experience, the only game Blizzard has made that was disappointing and not up to their standards at release was Diablo 3. For me personally, it just wasn't fun. It felt like the whole game was just a gimmick, although that's just my personal taste. But honestly, apart from that, Blizzard's track record is just phenomenal. The games are built to last and they really don't try to milk their products to death, unlike some series of games. Blizzard makes games that are as fun and addicting as possible. The level of polish, amount of content you get, and overall quality is just astounding. These Warcraft 3 and Diablo battle chests were $19.99 each. I've got thousands of hours of entertainment from those $40 I spent 8 years ago. Not only are the games fun, they're well priced. The gameplay is usually based around the mantra of easy to learn but hard to master, which makes their games accessible to most people as there aren't a lot of complicated mechanics or barriers, while also giving the hardcore fan base a wide skill gap and mastery to achieve. Not to mention Blizzard is primarily a PC game developer, and the games they make are never too taxing on the computer, so you don't need a top-of-the-line machine to play them. It also helps that they make a lot of expansions for their games, so they can utilize what's already there and add on to it, as opposed to just making a sequel. Making an expansion capitalizes on the work that's already been put in, and it serves to grow the community and player base that's already there. No doubt, if you buy a Blizzard game, it's gonna be top quality. No game-breaking bugs, severe lack of content, or something that makes you feel like your bank account is being monitored. Above all else, Blizzard is great at making their fans continually happy by giving them more of what they want. Although, in the case of World of Warcraft and the Nostalria server, Blizzard kinda dropped the ball there, which is really bizarre for them as it was a non-profit fan-made server for the older versions of World of Warcraft, but Blizzard had sent a cease and desist order and shut it down. Hundreds of thousands of people played on that server, and that was a dick move on their part, though they were in their legal right. But the Nostalria server goes to show just how much people love their games. Even if they don't like the newer expansions, they were willing to create a server to put up the money to run it, and hundreds of thousands of people wanted that too. But for the most part, Blizzard fans are treated to consistency and fan service. They love creating crossover Easter eggs. So if you played Diablo, you'll think it's funny when you see the Butcher in a Warcraft 3 mission.
Fresh meat.
Or if you happen to play one of Blizzard's older games, The Lost Vikings, which you probably didn't, let's be honest, you'll get a chuckle when you see that arcade in StarCraft 2. This is part of their identity, to always have some funny shit in their game, and to form a connection between their different series. Another way they do this is through Battle.net, which is their online servers for multiplayer. It's been around since StarCraft and Warcraft 2. So fans of Blizzard also have a connection with Battle.net, the service that they provide for multiplayer. Heroes of the Storm is a great example of fan service. Similar to how Nintendo created Smash Bros. As a way to put their most famous characters into one game and secretly advertise their other games, Blizzard has managed to do something similar with Heroes of the Storm. They got characters from all their games in here as champions to play as. Thrall, Tassadar, Kerrigan, Furion, Zeratul, Diablo, Zarya. They even got a Tauren with a freaking guitar. Now I'm a big League of Legends fan, but I'm kinda jealous they get those characters. Did I ever mention how fucking awesome Blizzard's rock songs are? And while their games may not do outrageously new things, they all have a sense of familiarity, so no game really feels like it's the ugly duckling in the series. In my opinion, the best thing Blizzard does with their games that elevates them above most other developers is they set them up to succeed, appeal to a wide consumer base, and they support their games post-launch. Blizzard has never been one to release a game that isn't ready, or have a sequel come out as a replacement. They always build an infrastructure around their games to ensure their longevity. Blizzard is always good about updates, and they don't take down servers like Microsoft did with Halo 2. You could still go back and play StarCraft right now. Not only that, Blizzard games are made to run on all sorts of computers, so they don't leave the Mac users in the dust. You see, I was really big into StarCraft custom games back in 2003 through 2007, and at that point, StarCraft had been out for years, yet still had a vibrant, passionate, and creative community that still loved to play the game. I talked about this in my What Overwatch Needs to Learn from Warcraft and StarCraft video, but the biggest thing was the custom games, the map editors. These tools gave fans the drive to create whatever sort of map or game came to their mind. Nothing was impossible. To this day, custom games are still being played on Warcraft 3. And just last week, I was able to play some of my favorites like Risk Devolution, Vampirism Fire, Footman vs. Grunts, and classic Dota games are still being played too. There are so many iconic custom games that I could just play for hours and never get tired of. It says a lot about Blizzard's quality when so many years down the line people are still playing these games. Do I need to mention that two of the most popular video games and an entirely new genre, MOBAs, came from a Warcraft 3 custom game? Yeah, that's the power Blizzard gave to their players. What blows my mind is how many times I've replayed the StarCraft and Warcraft campaigns. I love a good RTS so much, and every year or two I go back to play those campaigns. There's something about them that's just so fun. And what better way to ensure a game's longevity than to have a stimulating competitive scene? StarCraft, Dota, and Overwatch are real popular esports with a dedicated community surrounding them. So the quest to be the best in any of these games is going to have a big audience of people that really like watching it. There's something so satisfying about being good at a Blizzard game because you know so many people are playing them. Like, I feel like I have some bragging rights with this ridiculously good ranked game I played as Genji, or some of my ranked stats. People can take pride at being good at something, and being good at a Blizzard game is definitely something to be proud of. Now, have you ever had a friend that was so excited about a game that when you played it with him or her, their excitement just rubbed off on you? That's exactly what I feel when I see people like Jeff Kaplan or other Blizzard employees talking about their games.
Why is Genji such a cool dude? Why? Explain. If you were a cyborg ninja, wouldn't you be a cool dude too?
Just sheer passion for what they're doing, a drive to please their fans and create something truly special. It's inspiring, honestly.
One of the interesting things about working here is our culture. It's extremely passionate. It's quality first.
Not only that, but you can feel the passion and love that goes into their games, with every Easter egg, every bit of dialogue banter, and you can see this passion in some of the interviews. I especially love seeing some of the voice actors for Overwatch playing Overwatch. That was a real treat.
You know, all of us who work on Overwatch are really enthusiastic about it, so it's cool to be able to share all this with you.
And you can see they like to play these games as much as we do. While not directly related to the quality of their games, it's pretty impressive how Blizzard manages to create such incredible games in a few different genres. RTS, FPS, MOBA, MMORPG, Dungeon Crawler RPG, heck, even a card game. Blizzard isn't a one-trick pony. They're kinda like a jack of blades. I mean, a jack of all trades. It says a lot when a company can create so many different types of games and manage to nail the same level of quality, accessibility, and fun with each one. They're almost like old Rareware in that respect, and that's a bold statement, Cotton. All in all, Blizzard has become such a big force in the gaming industry for many reasons, because they produce some of the best quality games, they don't milk their franchises to death, because their games are accessible, easy to pick up, hard to master, because you can feel the passion and love they put into their work, not to mention their quality over quantity philosophy and how long-lasting and fun the games can be years after their release. Above all else, Blizzard games have a unique style that defines themselves as a company and the products that fans want. Well, what do you think of Blizzard? Like them or hate them? And why? Are you a big fan of their games or not? Let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to support the channel and future videos, check out my Patreon. And if you'd like to see more Actman content, go subscribe to my second channel, Actman TV, where I post a lot of super duper fun gameplay videos and other things. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. That's all I got for today. This is the Actman signing out. Peace!